Join me once again for some intense crafting as I take this crafting journey to craft these tents. One does have some options when it comes to tents. You can buy the WizKids tent set, which comes with one tent and one lean-to, which is nice enough, but still, I mean, that's $5 and now probably more. You can be lucky and find a toy tent that would work out pretty good, like I did at the Goodwill by the pound. That only cost me 10 cents. Not so bad. Or you can spend some dollars and buy a set like the Mantic Battlefield set, which has several tents, but that can get pricey. Or you could gather your crafting supplies and make your own. I had to go to the dollar store and I had to buy construction paper because I don't have any construction paper, and I had to go and buy this. This is what I bought. I'm a grown man. I'm a grown man, and this is what my life is. This is what my life has become. Surprisingly, the best tent actually came from the cheapest materials. Construction paper from the dollar store for $1.50. Some of these barbecue skewers that I got 100 for $1.50 on clearance. And some Elmer's glue all. I don't remember what I paid for this, but I've had this container of glue for like a really long time. So, cheap! You gotta cut up your skewers, and then the next step is figuring out what sort of coverings you're gonna use. And I did a bunch of different versions, but I gotta say, I love how the little barbecue skewers made the little Viking tent things. Very easy. It's very nice. I like that so much. The foam crafting things, this did not work out. This was obviously a complete dang old experiment. I assumed that if you cut up the little thin foam sheets in the same pelt-like configuration, they would make an interesting texture. They did not. The traditional style of construction paper crumpled up, that worked out so much better in the end. I ended up tossing all the little foam sheets afterwards because once they dried, it just didn't interact well with the glue. Stick with construction paper, or perhaps the little strips of paper towel that I'm utilizing right now. So this first little tent is basically utilizing the paper towel and watered down PVA glue. Again, you never want to use the elementary school style glue. You always want to make sure it's full strength PVA glue, because the elementary school stuff is it really just doesn't bond as hard. And this method is this is probably the most common method. You get a nice like weird texture with paper towels. Scotty DM did an amazing video years ago about using the PVA glue and paper towel method. Here I am using those thin strips of crafting foam again. I want to go into this a little bit. It just didn't work out. You can see I kind of soaked the thin foam in the PVA and water mixture, and it just doesn't react very well. Again, if there's a use for this thin PVA stuff, let me know in the comments, because clearly it's not the greatest for making tents. I did use the strip on the bottom as kind of like the form structure there. And here I am kind of putting all the strips of paper towel soaked in the paper mache stuff. Quick note here, most people tell you that the ratio that you want is going to be 2 parts water to 1 part PVA glue full strength, but I actually think for something like this, if you're using smaller bits, sometimes it's a little bit better to use a little extra water. And then if you're worried about strength, you can then go back to a little bit almost like closer to a 1-to-1 to kind of put on top of the situation after you're done laying down the initial thing. to really get that strength in. So that's my thing. Just go a little bit watered down at first, and then once you got everything kind of where you want it, then you can kind of coat a little bit more of a 1-to-1 ratio on top of that. And yeah, this ended up looking pretty good. But yeah, this is the first time I'm actually doing this. So yeah, I mean, there might be some little things that I could try a little bit differently, or maybe, do a little bit differently. I don't know. It's just a matter of trying to make it look like cloth, try to get some edges in there. I've seen people do some amazing stuff with just regular tissue paper, so maybe that's something I'll try next time if I'm working on like a fancier looking tent. And now the construction paper style thing. I actually saw this first in a Black Magic Craft video, and with these big tents, I actually used very large pieces of construction paper to sort of fold around the wooden structure here. And it ended up looking okay, but frankly, it wasn't until I got to that last one where I cut out the little pieces in the shape of hide and did very small little strips, smaller than I thought would actually look good, that it actually really worked out. And here I am using some more strips on the main big one, where I kind of did a combination of the paper towel and construction paper. And I think the second one looked pretty good. So, for the green stuff, this is Lady Sibel Designs little floor stuff. This is just basically me pressing down some Oyumaru mold making material and then making press molds. Now, I could try to use the original molds to press the green stuff into to make duplicates, but when much less dense material, it doesn't work out all that great. So I always like using press mold material, which is the Oyumaru mold making stuff, to make the form, and then you can just sort of press as hard as you want into it after it's fully cooled down. And it works really well. And I had to kind of remember how to do it, but I think the last couple ones that I made, I actually remembered how to get the thinner material in. And I kept on working on my Elden Ring root burial thing. I'm basically pressing in mostly uncured green stuff from sculpts that I made and made molds from. And I'm basically covering up this little piece of toy log with sort of like, little molds to make it look like the Elden Root burial thing. This was just something I did as I was waiting for some of the green stuff to sort of form up a little bit. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. If you remember my original mold, not my original sculpt with making the big undead construct. It's kind of like that, except 100% original molds. And here we have the Lady Sibella hide, which turned out pretty great. I could have done the thing where I filled the entire form factor and did like kind of like a puzzle thing where I made like a solid green stuff structure on top of the tent. But I didn't. I just did it basic stuff. If you want to see the stream where I painted all these bad boys up, I will show that. I will leave that link in the description below. And heck, I only spent 1 hour and 30 minutes painting these. And even though they were just basic paint jobs, yeah, they actually worked out pretty well. And you know what? The simplest one ended up being my favorite. The one on the very right, where it's just construction paper cut in patterns that looked like animal hides, and I just used the paper mache, PVA glue, and water, and put it on top of the mold and let it dry, and that actually had the best looking texture and overall look. Now, I did some fancy paint job stuff. I ended up using contrast paint, watered down paint, dry brushing to try to get the bigger tents to look nicer, to showcase some of the texture that was on there. But you know what? Yeah, they still kind of look like meh. The smaller tents looked nice. As you can tell, the one on the left, super simple, paper towel. The one in the middle, that's the press molds with the green stuff. And the one on the right ended up being just paper mache and PVA glue. And it looks probably the best out of all 5 tents. Here you can see some of the texture was left over there. If I do this again, I think I'll really just distress the paper as much as I possibly can. But yeah, honestly, the smaller tents, I think, worked out much better. I painted the one eye of the lion there. And here we see the lovely detail. As you can see, I painted a couple of the different hide pieces, different colors, so it stands out a little bit more. But frankly, I could have just literally done the brown paper mache and just left it like that, and it would have looked great. Touching it up made it look a little bit more interesting. But you know what? At the end of the day, sometimes simple is better. So yeah, if you are going to make your own paper mache tents using this method, I would highly suggest you watch the Black Magic Craft video and you watch the Scotty DM video, both of those videos below, and you can get some valuable ideas for stuff. And the only thing that I did is that I cut out these strips of construction paper in the shape of like little hides. And I think that added quite a bit to the finished project. If I ever do this again, I'm definitely going to make even smaller little hide shapes and sort of stack them on one by one like I did with the smallest tent and make a bigger tent with much better detail. And again, when you're soaking the construction paper and the PVA glue mixture, make sure you just crumple it up as much as you can to get as much texture on the final project. And it really does help, and it really does look great in the end. Well, I hope you enjoyed my rambling introduction into paper mache crafting. This is the first real paper mache thing that I've done ever. And you know what? I'm very proud of the small little tent. And yeah, I hope you guys learned something from watching this little video. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. As always, the memberships are open for this YouTube channel. On the YouTube channel, you can click join. And for 99 cents a month, you can be a member of this channel that supports this channel. And in addition, you'll also get free PDFs that only channel memberships can get for the 99 cents. If you buy them, it would cost a lot more. So this is something special for people that spend the 99 cents a month for the channel membership. This month, you can get and once you join, you can find all these PDFs in the community section of this YouTube page. Just click on community. You'll see a members only section, and that is where you can find the links to download the PDFs. Again, this month you can get the Woebegone adventure, which is a bare bones adventure, which has a lovely little D100 table at the end of it. In addition to that, you can also find the 6-page pamphlet of useless and unusual magical items. Also, a very fun PDF. You can look through and get some ideas. Again, some of these items are a little bit game-breaking, but very fun if you're just doing a dungeon crawl and it doesn't really matter. So, hope you support the channel and click that join button. Thank you very much, and have a good one.